All right. False prophets and counterfeits. In Matthew 24, verse 11, it says, "And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many." So what is a prophet then? Well, let's see what the scriptures have to say about it. In Numbers 11, verse 14, "I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if thou dealest thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand. If I have found favor in thy sight, and let me not see my wretchedness." And Yahweh said unto Moses, "Gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with you. And I will come down and talk with you there. And I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that you bear it not thyself alone. And say thou unto the people, Sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and you shall eat flesh. For you have wept in the ears of Yahweh, saying, Who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore Yahweh will give you flesh, and you shall eat it." Now there was a spirit on Moses. So the purpose of the Spirit was to help bear the burdens of the people. Numbers 11:19, "And you shall not eat one day, nor," continuing in Numbers 11:19, "and you shall not eat one day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days, but even a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils, and it will be loathsome unto you, because that you have despised Yahweh which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, Why came we forth out of Egypt? And Moses said, The people among whom I am are 600,000 footmen, and you have said, I will give them flesh that they may eat a whole month? Shall the flocks and the herds be slain for them, to suffice them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, to suffice them? And Yahweh said unto Moses, Is Yahweh's hand waxed short, that thou shalt see now whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not? And Moses went out and told the people the words of Yahweh, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them round about the tabernacle. And Yahweh came down in a cloud, and spoke unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, Moses, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, and did not cease. Notice Moses wanted all the people to be prophets in Numbers 11, verse 26. And there remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them, and they were of them that were written, but went not out unto the tabernacle, and they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man, and told Moses, and said, Eldad and Medad do prophesy in the camp. And Yeshua, son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, My lord Moses, forbid them. And Moses said unto him, Enviest thou for my sake? Would Elohim that all Yahweh's people were prophets, and that Yahweh would put his Spirit upon them. Now, prophecy is not speaking the future. Occasionally they do, but telling the future is not what makes one a prophet. Prophets were enabled to do inspired speaking. In other words, speaking the word of Yahweh with authority, just like Moses was doing. That's why Joshua said what he did. Up until now, Moses was the only one speaking with authority, and Joshua was not used to seeing this happening on someone else. A prophet speaks with authority the word of Yahweh. Matthew 7, verse 29, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. Again in Mark 1, verse 22, and they were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one that had authority, and not as the scribes. A prophet speaks forth for someone. Different than the word seer, prophets have nothing to do with predicting futures. Prophets are given power to instruct and admonish the people with an authority recognized as having its source in Yahweh. Deuteronomy 18, verse 18. I will rise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other Elohims, even that prophet shall die. Now the phrase in my name means in my authority. It has nothing to do with the name itself. And this is not just talking about when Yeshua comes and speaks. Everybody, when you read this, you're thinking right away, it's Yeshua when he shows up. But it's not just Yeshua. It's about all his prophets. Even though Yeshua is the main prophet that this verse is pointing to, it applies to all the prophet that Yahweh sends. Deuteronomy 18:21. And if thou say in thy heart, how shall we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? Deuteronomy 18:22. When a prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh has not spoken. But if the prophet has spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. Now this is the easy part. If they say it's going to happen and it doesn't happen, false prophet. Simple. And by the way, the Spirit brings to remembrance things. And you can't remember what you haven't put into your head. You can't remember what you put into your mind. That is why you need to read the Bible. You need to read the scriptures. Fill that library that is between your ears. The Spirit will bring it to remembrance. Ezekiel 22, verse 25. There is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion ravaging the prey. They have devoured souls. They have taken the treasures and precious things. They have made her many widows, and in the midst thereof. And her priests have violated my law, and have profaned my holy things. They have put no difference between holy and profane. Neither have they showed differences between the clean and unclean. They have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them. Her princes in their midst thereof are like wolves, ravaging the prey, to shed blood, and to destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. And her prophets have dubbed them with untempered mortar, seeing vanity and divining lies unto them, saying, Thus says Yahweh Elohim, when Yahweh has not spoken. Now, clean and unclean is mentioned. There are very specific rules of engagement when it comes to Yahweh. And the Shekinah is that high level of Yahweh's presence in a tabernacle. Deuteronomy 13, verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and gives thee a sign or wonder, and the sign or wonder comes to pass, whereof he spoke unto thee, saying, Let us go after other Elohims, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your Elohim is proven you, to know whether you love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahweh your Elohim and fear him and keep his commandments. Obey his voice. You shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which Yahweh thy Elohim commanded you to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of you. So if a prophet tells you something and it comes to pass, but then he says, you don't have to keep the Sabbath. The Sabbath's been changed. And then he says, you can eat anything you want to eat. He is not following Yahweh's Torah. You know he is a false prophet. Even though he can heal people, he can do miracles. He's telling you to get you away from the way that Yahweh wants you to live. And what's the purpose of miracles? To strengthen your belief or trust in a man or the Almighty. It is a test moment. What's the definition of evil? From scriptures, it is breaking any of Yahweh's instructions. This is evil. Satan wants to get you from the path of the way. John 14:6, Yeshua said unto him, I am the way, the truth, the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me. Satan wants to make you stray from Yeshua, the truth, the Torah. He wants you to stray from the Word. He wants you to stray from the light. Deuteronomy 13:6, if thy brother, thy son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thy own soul, entice you secretly, saying, let us go and serve other Elohims, which thou hast not known. Thou nor your fathers, namely the Elohims of the people which are round about you, near unto thee, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto them. Neither shall thy eye pity them, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him. But thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. This is some strong warnings. Loved ones, friends, anyone, don't listen. Deuteronomy 13:10, and thou shalt stone him with stones, that he die, because he has sought to thrust thee away from Yahweh thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. So recap in Deuteronomy 18, prophets do something, and it doesn't happen. Easy, they're false prophets. Deuteronomy 13, prophets do something, and it does happen, but try to move you away from Yahweh's Torah instructions. Both are false prophets. In 1 John 4, verse 1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of Elohim, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. How will you believe the spirits? How will you try them? By what is written in the Torah. What is written in the Bible. If a voice in your head tells you to follow a certain man, or a certain person says, Yahweh spoke to me such and such, stop. And ask yourself, are they following what Yahweh said in scriptures? Remember, he said, I change not. I am the same today. I am the same tomorrow. I am the same from the past, today, tomorrow. I change not. 1 John 4, verse 1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of Elohim, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. You know there's 3 voices in your head, or you could even say 3 spirits in your head. The first voice is your voice. It's always talking. I wonder this, I wonder that. I wonder if I should do this, I wonder that. I can think it. You're always hearing it in your head. The second voice is Satan's voice. Always telling you to do this or do that. Who's going to know? Who's going to care? Yahweh's wrong. The Bible's just a book. The third voice is Yahweh's voice. Still, quiet, waiting for those other voices to quiet down so he can tell you something. 1 John 4:2, hereby know you the spirit of Elohim. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua Messiah is come in the flesh is of Elohim. And every spirit that confesses not that Yeshua Messiah is come in the flesh is not of Elohim. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come. And even now already is it in the world. The spirit of anti-Messiah is already here. It is not a person yet. It is a behavioral pattern. It is a purpose. It is a function. 1 John 4:4, you are of Elohim, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world hears them. We are of Elohim, and he knows Elohim hears us. And he that knows Elohim hears us. He that is not of Elohim doesn't hear us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. Those who have a relation with Elohim will hear you. Those who don't cannot hear you. The spirit of Yeshua, or the spirit of truth, and the spirit of a lie, a delusion. So what is truth? Yeshua is truth. John 14:6. Yeshua said unto him, I am the way. He said, I am the truth and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me. In Psalms 119, verse 142, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Psalms 119, verse 160, thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of thy righteous judgments endures forever. The word, the Torah, Yeshua. And what is delusion? Look it up in Strong's 4106. Plan A wandering, a straying about, one led astray from the right way, roams here and there. Error, wrong opinion relative to morals and religion. You can find this in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 11. And for this cause Elohim shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie. The spirit of anti-Messiah is a fraud. Matthew 7:15, beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravaging wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree brings forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that brings not forth good fruit is cut down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits you shall know them. How will we know them? By their fruit you shall know them. Look what they are doing. Matthew 7:21. Not everyone that says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? What did we just read about this one prophet that could do these miracles? But he says something else. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. Iniquity, anomia, the conditions of without law. Oh, the law's been done away. It's been nailed to the cross. You don't have to follow that dietary law. You can live your life the way you want. A condition of without law, because ignorant of it, because of violating it. A contempt and violation of law, iniquity, wickedness. Only the ones doing the will of the Father. And what is the Father's will? His will is the covenant. Exodus 19 tells you, if you obey, I will take you as my people. Exodus 19, verse 5. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Keep his commandments. And how about authority? What is that? Just because you claim you to have authority, it does not mean you have it. There are false prophets all over the place claiming they have authority, but they don't. Moses had authority. Isaiah had authority. Jeremiah had authority. All the major and minor prophets had authority. But we have people running all over the place claiming to have authority and doing mighty works in his name on TV. One prophet follows the law, one does not. Lawlessness or lawful. Our Father in heaven does everything legal. Matthew 7:24. Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that hears these sayings of mine and does them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. And it came to pass, when Yeshua had ended these sayings, the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. Lawlessness, enomos, number 459, out of Strong's, destitute of the Mosaic law, departing from the law, a violator of the law, lawless, wicked. If lawlessness is anti-Torah, then lawlessness is anti-Messiah. If lawlessness is anti-Torah, then lawlessness is anti-Yeshua. That's the connection to anti-Messiah. Anti-Torah, anti-law. 1 John 3:4, whosoever commits sin transgresses also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. We're talking end times. Matthew 24:11, many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So what love is he talking about? Exodus 20, verse 6. Showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Deuteronomy 5:10. Showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. John 14, verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. John 15:10. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. Deuteronomy 11:13. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, and I command you this day to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Deuteronomy 13:3. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your Elohim proves you, to know whether you will love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. So you're going to go follow some prophet because he can do a miracle? Or are you going to follow Yahweh, what he says in Scripture? Joshua 22:5. But take diligent heed to do the commandments and the law which Moses, the servant of Yahweh, charged you, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, to keep his commandments, to cleave unto him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. If you love me, keep my commandments. Love Yahweh with all your heart. Love Yahweh with all your soul. Love Yahweh with your mind and keep his commandments. Almost everywhere love is mentioned in Torah, the commandments are there also. Father says, love me in your obedience. Obey because you love me. So because of lawlessness, the vertical love will wax cold. You either love his law and his way of life, or you don't. And if you do not love his way of life, if you do not love his law, if you do not love his Torah, your love will wax cold. John 14:15. If you love me, keep my commandments. Now go back to John 14, verse 12. Truly, truly, I say unto you, he that believes on me, the works that I do shall he do also. Greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. 1 John 2, verse 5. Hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that says, I know him, and keeps not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. 1 John 2, verse 1, my little children, these things write I unto you, that you sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Yeshua Messiah the righteous. Knowing is a relational understanding. Now we have intimate relationship when a man knows his wife is more, and it's more than just a sexual, it is deep understanding of your mate. If you love me, guard my commandments. Yeshua is the commandment giver. We never on this planet interacted with the Father. Never interacted with the Father. The only one we ever interacted with is the Son. When you read Genesis in the beginning, you have Father and Son did everything together. They called him Elohim then. The Father and Son is how they want us to know them, as a father-son. They are not human beings. In chapter 1, we have the Father and Son. Before there was any sin, before there was any death, we have the Father and Son. You go to John, first chapter, tells you who the Creator is. Yeshua. He became flesh. Yeshua. Then we have the mention of clean and unclean protocols. They are more stringent with the Father than with the Son. Yeshua has said, "No one has seen the Father except me." John 1, verse 18. "No man has seen Elohim at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him." John 5:37. "The Father himself, which has sent me, has borne witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his shape." John 6:46. "Not that any man has seen the Father, save he which is of Elohim. He has seen the Father." No one has seen the Father or heard his voice. So who was Moses talking to? Who had lunch with Abraham? The one we know as Yeshua. Yeshua was like a father to them. He created them, but he wasn't the Father. Who was the one on Mount Sinai given the commandments? Yeshua. So when Yeshua says, "If you love me, keep my commandments," what is he talking about? The commandments he gave at Mount Sinai. Revelation 21, verse 1, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth have passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacles of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim." 1 John 2:4, "And he that says, I know him, and keeps not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him." 1 John 2, verse 5, "But whosoever keeps his word, in him truly is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him." What love? Love of truth, or the one love that waxes cold? When you guard his commandments, you are in his love. When you are lawless, the love waxes cold. Follow means being the same as I am. If you follow me, you follow like him. Be like him. 2 Peter 2, verse 1. "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of." We have people on TV speaking evil about Yahweh's truth. It's been done away. I have people in families that says the Bible is just a book, myth. Old people just wrote that. Storytelling. They speak evil of truth. Heresies is number 139 in Strong's. Act of taking capture, storming a city, an act of choosing, an act of choice. That which is chosen, a body of men following their own tenets. Revelation 12:9. "And a great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." John 8:43. "Why do you not understand my speech? even because you cannot hear my word. You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. You therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim. Matthew 24, verse 4. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Messiah, and shall deceive many. Come in my name, my authority. Matthew 24, verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Messiah, or there, believe it not. If Messiah comes, you don't need to be told. You don't need to be told he's over there in the desert. He's over there. He's over here. You do not need to be told. If someone tells you that, that is not the Messiah. Matthew 24, 24, and there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, that the very shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I've told you before. 2 Peter 3:16. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them these things, in which are some things hard to understand, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also the other scriptures, unto their own destructions. 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yeshua Messiah, and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letters, as from us, as that the day of Messiah is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he, as Elohim, sits in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Remember you not that when I was with you, I told you these things? And now you know what withholds that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who now lets will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness, and them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Elohim shall send them strong delusion, and they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks always to Elohim for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because Elohim has from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel, to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Yeshua Messiah. We are going to be like him. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which you have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Now our Lord Yeshua Messiah himself and Yahweh, even our Father, which has loved us and has given us everlasting consolation and good hope through grace, comfort your hearts, and establish you in every good word and work. I'm going to put forth to you a possibility of the end time. This is the way I see things happening right now. The Muslims are waiting for their Messiah. They call him Mahdi. The world is waiting for a Messiah. They call him Jesus. The Jews are waiting for their Messiah. So we have the Muslims. They're already killing, cutting off heads, crucifying Christians. You won't believe their way. Somebody is expecting to come in the Muslim side as a Mahdi or a Messiah, and then all hell breaks loose, basically, because the killing of people will intensify. And all these people are begging and waiting for Messiah to come and take out this Mahdi. When you have a counterfeit, it looks just like the real thing. A counterfeit $100 bill looks just like the real $100 bill. You have to study the counterfeit, and you have to study the real $100 bill to tell them apart. The same is true with the Messiah coming. Now, the Messiah of the Muslims will not influence us, because we will not believe he is the Messiah that we've been waiting for. He does not follow Torah. It's that simple. But he's running around having everyone killed and crucified and cut their heads off. This is the greatest setup of all time, has been perpetrated on all the world. It's funny how Anthony's talking about the name. I believe the mechanics of the name change is what he's been talking about. There is more to it than just the name. We have been born into a deceptive world. We have been conceived even. Going back all the way, we were conceived in a world that is deceived. If you realize that, you will understand how blessed we are to be pulled out of it. The greatest setup of all time has been perpetrated on all the world. That setup has been for about 2,000 years now. That setup is to lead you away from Yeshua and the Torah. That setup, I believe, is Jesus Christ. When Jesus gets here, you will know Yeshua is coming soon. To be a false Messiah, you have to do what everyone expects the Messiah to do. So what does everyone expect him to do? To beat up a false Messiah. So we need someone to be the false Messiah, but looks like him. Remember, Satan and his ministers are like angels of light. He is going to look real good. He has to look like Messiah, and he has to beat up a false Messiah. And that's the setup of the Muslim Messiah, which they call Mahdi. So the Mahdi shows up, then all the Christianity expects Jesus to show up and save everybody. And when he does, everybody's going to flip out. Then Yeshua will have to show up and take out the anti-Messiah who took out the Muslim anti-Messiah. That's the trap. When Yeshua was here, thousands of people came to him. He left. The disciples drew thousands of people. When all early believers died off, the Roman Catholic Church pushed off Jesus and everybody by force. If you didn't believe what the Catholic Church says, they would kill you or torture you. The world has been set up, indoctrinated for Jesus. Songs all about Jesus, love Jesus, worship Jesus. Everything pointed to Jesus. Yeshua said, "It is not about me. It is about my Father." 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." A falling away, someone who's sitting on the fence, they're not sure one way or another. Jesus or Yeshua? If someone comes and says he's Jesus, and he looks like Messiah, they may fall away from the congregation. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 4, "Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he as Elohim sits in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim." Jesus is coming, and he's not Yeshua. Ephesians 4:11, "And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Messiah, till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of Elohim, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Messiah, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of man, and cunningness, craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive, but speaking the truth in love, may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Messiah, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplies, according to the effectual working of the measure of every part, making increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love. This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their minds, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of Elohim through the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who, being past feeling, have given themselves over into lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Messiah, if so be that you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yeshua, that you put off concerning the former conversations the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which after Elohim is created in righteousness and true holiness. 2 Timothy 4:3, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itchy ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables." Christmas, Halloween, Easter. They'd rather do that than follow Yahweh's holy days. They'd rather go to church on Sunday than follow Yahweh's Sabbath. They'd rather hear people say the Old Testament has been done away. The law has been nailed to the cross. You don't have to follow that anymore. Jesus is a myth. Yeshua is the truth. You, I believe, have been talking about the mechanics of how they got that myth, how they got that lie into place. You changed the name. You turned it into a persona of Jesus Christ. It's Yeshua, the Son of Yahweh. It's even more deception than you ever believe. 2 Corinthians 11:13, "For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Messiah. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, It is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, those whose end shall be according to their works. If Satan showed up right now, you would think he was the Father. That's how impressive he would look. He has got to look like the real thing. The Mahdi is not going to look like the real thing. Yeshua is the light of the world, not Satan. John 4:23, but the hour comes, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeks such to worship him. Elohim is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Elohim is spirit and must be worshipped in spirit and in truth. And what is truth? Torah is the truth. Yeshua is the truth. Advanced and basic we have spirit and truth. The spirit of the law, the intent, and the actual law. For an example, do no murder. Basic. Have no hatred in your heart is advanced. Do no adultery. Basic. If you think about it, you did it. Advanced. John 8:31. Then said Yeshua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. A relationship with Torah will make you free. You must stay in Torah. A Messiah comes and he drifts away from what the Torah says, you know he's the anti-Messiah. Even if he comes and says he's Jesus, and he starts drifting away, if he does not follow that Torah step by step by step, he's the anti-Messiah. Yeshua will never drift away from Torah. John 18:37. Pilate therefore said unto him, art thou a king then? Yeshua answered, thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth hears my voice. Zechariah 14, verse 1. Behold, the day of Yahweh comes, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, the houses rifled, the woman ravished. Half of the city shall go forth into captivity, the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahweh go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day on the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, towards the east and towards the west. And there shall be a very great valley. And half of the mountain shall be moved towards the north, and half of it shall be moved towards the south. Now ask yourself, why would all the armies be gathered at Jerusalem? Why? Because the false Messiah knows the real Messiah is about to show up. And he gathers every nation that will follow him there to fight Yeshua at his return. Yahweh's Son takes care of business. And his Father will not show up until all death in the grave, all the sin has been thrown into the lake of fire. And there is no more sin, there is no more death. Then the Father shows up in Revelation 21. Revelation 21, verse 22. And I saw no temple therein, for Yahweh Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. Now, I could be wrong, this person coming as Jesus, and he could follow the Torah step by step without wavering, then I'm wrong. But if he so much as budges one iota off the Torah, he's the anti-Messiah. He looks like the Messiah. He looks what you expect him to look like. And if he moves one little bit off of following Torah, he is not the Messiah. And you can expect Yeshua to show up. Revelation 22, verse 3. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Yahweh and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And that, my dear friends, is the truth. Yahweh bless.